Hi, fifth graders, and welcome to another ELA lesson. I'm Miss Mooney, and I can't wait to get started on today's lesson. So the topic today is going to be an introduction to theme. So the objective that we're going to be working on is that I can define the word theme and practice finding the theme of fictional stories. So today we're going to learn about what theme is. We're going to learn, kind of do a little bit of review from some words we've learned past couple of weeks, and then we're going to read a short story at the end and try to pick out what we think the theme might be of it. So let's go ahead and get started. So I want to tell you a little story first. So last week I watched this movie, Finding Nemo, and so it is one of my favorite Disney movies, and it's just one that I always enjoy watching because I love the story. And so you've probably watched it, but if you haven't, the whole story is about how Nemo gets lost and his dad Marlin and Dory, the bluefish in here, they work together to try to find Nemo. And so all throughout this movie, it's all about how the fish must have teamwork, and they have to work together, and they have to trust each other and figure out where Nemo is. And Marlin does that by going on this huge adventure and makes all of these friends on the way. And Dory is one of my favorite characters in it, and one of her really famous lines in the movie is, "Just keep swimming, just keep swimming." And so when she says that, she's telling Marlin to just keep on trying, to not give up, and even though things are hard, he just has to keep on swimming or keep on moving forward. And so thinking about this movie really got me thinking about theme. And so when I say the word theme, you might be thinking of like a birthday party, maybe like a superhero theme or a Disney theme or something like that. Or you could be thinking about holidays, like a holiday theme, like something is Halloween themed or Valentine's Day themed. But we're going to be talking about theme in a little bit of a different setting. We're going to be talking about theme in literature. And what I mean by that is looking at theme in writing or reading or movies, books, things like that. So let's go ahead and get started just by defining the word theme so that we know what it means. So the definition of theme is the underlying idea or statement that the author is trying to convey. So to convey something means like the meaning that you want someone to know. So when an author is trying to convey something, they're trying to let you think something. And so they're trying to convey the lesson about life or a statement about human nature. So a theme is like the hidden idea, the hidden statement in a book or in a movie, something like that. So here's a couple things about theme. So the theme will not be stated. So the author will never start off and say, so the theme of this book is friendship and trusting your friends. That won't really happen. That's why theme is a little bit tricky, because you have to figure out the theme through the supporting details, through the characters, through the main idea will help you. And so we're going to talk a little bit soon about what the difference is between theme and main idea. But just right out so you know, the theme will not be stated. It's something that's called implied. So the theme is something that you can apply to your life. And so also along with that, the theme is universal. So when I say that the theme is universal, it means that it can apply to everyone. So in Finding Nemo, when Dory is saying that you can just keep on swimming and that you just have to keep on trying, if we say the theme of Finding Nemo is never give up, keep on trying your best, trust in your friends, those are ideas or statements that can apply to everyone. I can apply that to my life. You can apply it to yours, your friends, your families, everyone. It applies to everyone. And so something else with the theme is that it won't say character names in it. It won't say that Nemo's dad, Marlin, had to keep on trying. That sounds a little bit more like main idea, and I'll explain why. But the theme is universal. It's something that works for everything, works for everyone. And then lastly, there can be more than one theme. So just like how I was saying in my Nemo example, I might say that the underlying statement that the author is trying to convey is that you have to trust in your friends, and you have to trust in your instincts, and you have to work to take care of your family. Whereas another theme might be about friendship. It might say, thinking about Nemo and Dory's friendship, and how they work together, that could be another theme, that you must have friendship to work together and have teamwork. So there can be a couple different themes to a story, kind of like how there can be a few different main ideas. So this is something I created called the theme tree. So go ahead and get out your notebook right now. I sort of talked about in the beginning, but so if you have to pause, go ahead and pause right now to go grab your notebook. But if you just want to jot down a really simple picture of a tree, now it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can just be like your stem or your roots and then a big tree design. So just something as simple as that totally works. But you're going to draw a theme as your trunk of the tree. And so the trunk of the tree is the thing that holds it all together. It is what grows and it is what holds it all. And so everything on the branches are going to be everything that makes up our theme. So for example, a theme is a truth or a central idea a story reveals about life. So over in Finding Nemo, I had said that one of the themes of Finding Nemo was friendship. And so that is a truth that the author is trying to reveal about the story. Okay, let's look at another one. So like I said, a theme is implied, it is not stated. So the word implied means that you have to figure it out. You have to use those context clues that we've talked about before. And you have to use the supporting details and understand the characters. And you also understand what the characters are doing in the book, how they interact with each other. Because the author won't just say, the theme of this book is friendship. They won't say that. You kind of have to figure it out. So implied means like something that you have to decide. And it's what the author wants you to get at, wants you to know. And then next, a theme, it can be a moral, it can be a life lesson, it could be a message. And then lastly, a theme is a debatable opinion. So I might think the theme of this book is something, but you might think it's something else. And so that's okay if we have different opinions on what we think the theme is. But the word debatable tells us that we have to be able to back that up. We have to be able to argue why we think that's the theme. And so the way that we do that is by looking at supporting details in the book. It's saying, well, I think the theme of I always say that wrong. I think the theme of Finding Nemo is trusting in your friends because of the way that Marlin and Dory and Nemo all had to work together so that Nemo was safe in the end. So I just told you that I thought my theme, so the universal theme that could apply to everyone, is trusting in your friends. And that's universal because I can trust my friends, you can trust your friends. But then my supporting details and the way that I'm debating that opinion of that theme is by talking about how that looked in the movie and how Dory and her friends all work together to keep Nemo safe. So do you see how that works a little bit? So we'll get some more practice on that too. So let's look at the reason why we even care what the theme is, why we even look at the theme. So I put down a couple different reasons. So the first one is that themes teach us about how to have an open mind. So an open mind is actually figurative language. So if you watched yesterday's video about figurative language, then you would see that it doesn't literally mean opening up your mind to the world, but an open mind means that you're open to learning new things and you're open to talking to people and learning about their perspectives on their experiences. So themes teach us how to think differently about life. So when I tell you that a theme is a life lesson, it tells us, so let me think of an example. So the friendship one. So if the theme of that book was trusting in your friends, that teaches us that maybe we should trust people, that maybe we should trust our friends and learn how we can trust each other and how we can have that kind of friendship. And so that opens your mind to a new idea. The next one is that themes tell us how other people think, feel, and how they act. So since the theme is universal, it can apply to everyone. So when there's a theme, it tells us about how other people feel or how other people think. And so if we had a theme about a story saying that you need to have teamwork in order for a project to be successful. So if that was the theme, then that tells us how other people think and how other people feel. So if that's a universal theme, then that must mean that other people think that we need teamwork too. And if we see people acting in a way that they're working together and they're collaborating and they're working on a project together, then that tells us how they feel, what they think needs to happen. And then lastly, themes show us why characters in a story act a certain way. So in the Finding Nemo example, we know that one of the themes is trusting your friends. And so we know that Dory and Marlin, the dad, worked together and they acted in a certain way because they trusted each other and because Marlin knew that Dory was going to be the one who would help him find his son later on in the movie. And so that theme explains why he acted in the way, why he followed her around the ocean and went on that huge adventure with her. He did that because he trusted her and because they had a good friendship. So those are just 3 reasons why I think that we learn about theme and why I think that it's important to learn about themes. Because in all, it teaches us how to think differently and it teaches us about how we can have new ideas after reading. And reading and not finding a theme, it's kind of like, what's the purpose of reading that then? Because we want to be reading in order to learn new things, in order to have new thoughts. And so that's why we look for a theme. So I told you how theme and main idea are 2 separate things. So let's remind ourselves what the definition of a theme is. So a theme is the moral, it's the message, or it's a lesson of a story. So it's what the author wants us to learn from the story. So 2 questions that we might ask ourselves is, what did the characters learn? So in Finding Nemo, Marlin learned that he has to take a risk and that he has to go on this big adventure and trust in his friend so that he can learn how to find his son. So that's what he learned. And we can also say, why did the characters act this way? So in the movie, we also know that Marlin was really scared about not being able to find Nemo. And he was really scared throughout the book or out the movie. But then once he met Dory and once he started trusting Dory, he started acting more open-minded to finding Nemo and started acting more open-minded and willing to go on this big adventure. So that's why he acted that way. So then let's switch and let's look at main idea. So we've talked about main idea already this summer, but let's remind ourselves what it is. So the main idea is what the story is about. So it's literally what the story is about. So if you remember when we read the book Ruby Bridges, the main idea of that book was Ruby Bridges. And so that is the literal meaning of the book. And so 2 questions that we can ask is, what is this text about? That text was about Ruby Bridges. This movie is about Nemo and Marlin trying to find Nemo. And what is the topic of the story? So with Ruby Bridges, the topic was of her bravery of starting her new school, even though crazy things were going on in the world. And then we know in Finding Nemo, the topic of that story is Nemo and Marlin and Dory going on this big adventure all together. So in the theme, we don't actually talk about Nemo and Dory and Marlin and Ruby Bridges. And, we don't talk about these people or these characters. We say the overall meaning. What does the story mean? What kind of lesson are we trying to get out of it? Whereas with the main idea, it's me literally telling you what it means. So main idea can also kind of be like a summary. So if I were to give you the summary of Finding Nemo, I would say exactly what it is. I would say that it's Marlin going on an adventure trying to find his son Nemo. Literally, what the story is actually about. Whereas the theme, I'll tell you, the theme of Finding Nemo is friendship and it's willingness to go on adventures and trusting people. So those are the differences between the 2. So let's look at a couple different common themes. So common themes mean that themes that we see kind of across books. And so the reason why we have common themes or why themes are repeated is because they're good lessons. So in Finding Nemo, one of the themes is about friendship, but I've read a lot of books, I've watched a lot of movies about friendship. And then also something in Finding Nemo was about bravery and how Marlin was brave to go find Nemo. Well, in Ruby Bridges also had her own type of bravery with starting her school and being the first Black student at that school. So both of those, that movie and that book, although they're very different topics and main ideas, a common theme they have is bravery. So let's look at a couple different common themes. So happiness. Happiness is a big theme. So, everybody wants to be happy and books want to talk about happy characters and happy endings and things like that. And so a couple different themes about happiness is maybe money can't buy happiness. So maybe you've seen that before. That's a really common theme. something about finding the good things in life, that everyone has a place where they belong. You could even argue that some of those could be about finding Nemo. So, like, I was really looking at finding the good things in life. Marlin was always really scared about Nemo exploring the ocean and Nemo going too far away from their anemone. But at the end of the story, Marlin realized that some of the good things in life are adventures. So, do you see how that's a common theme? And we can apply that to the story. We can apply that to Finding Nemo. So, let's also look at love. So, love is also a really big one: love, trust, kindness, things like that. And so, here's a couple different themes: treat everyone with respect and kindness. So, we could even see that one in Finding Nemo, of Marlin respecting and giving kindness to the people that he met, and Nemo giving kindness so that he can make friends. Another one is treat others the way you want to be treated. So that's a really popular theme in books. And then lastly, I wrote, never turn your back on someone that you love. And so that's a really important one too. So I could also see that one in Finding Nemo, of how Marlin did not give up when he was trying to find Nemo. He kept on working as hard as he could, and he never turned his back on Nemo. Even though Nemo went missing and he was really scared, he didn't turn his back on him. He kept on trying. And then another one has to do with the way that we think. So remember when I told you that a couple slides back that a theme tells us about how people think, how they feel? And so a couple different themes of that is trying to think positive thoughts. So in Finding Nemo, it wasn't going to help Marlin if he was just sad the entire time and if he thought that he was never going to find Nemo. But instead, he really had to have positive thinking, and he had to have forward thinking about, yes, I will find Nemo. I just have to try harder. Another one is believing in yourself, following your dreams, and thinking before you act. So all of these, the reason why we talk about common themes is because, like I said, themes are universal. So you could pick out any of these themes and they could apply to you. So for example, never turn your back on someone you love. Maybe you get into a fight with a friend or a fight with a sibling and they make you really, really upset, but that doesn't mean that you're going to turn your back on them. That you should try to find some common ground, that you should try to work out your problems with them. Another one, believing in yourself. That's a really good one. So I can apply that theme to myself from maybe when I'm about to do a really hard test, like a math test, and I'm super nervous about. But I can believe in myself by telling myself, and this also positive thoughts, that I studied, that I feel confident, that I know I'm super smart and I can do it. So those are some ways that I can apply those themes to my life. They're universal, they can apply to everyone. Pick out any of these themes and I can assure you that you can apply it to some part of your life. So that was the definition of theme and everything, and kind of a rundown of what theme is. So if that was a little too fast for you and that you need to review it some more, go back through the video, look at the definitions if you would like again. But now what we're going to do next is that we are going to do a little bit more simple practice with finding theme. So you're not going to be writing your own theme today, just because we'll be working on theme all throughout the week. This is more of just kind of like an introduction, a preview to theme. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and read a story. And in that story, we're going to try to figure out what the people in the story were feeling. And then we're also going to talk about how we felt when we read the story. And then use all of those feelings to kind of think of some kind of theme that other people can apply to other people, that makes it that universal aspect. So the book that we're going to be reading today is called Last Stop on Market Street. I love this book. I read this book probably last year and it's always been one of my favorites. So let's go ahead and get started. So let me back up. So as we're reading the book, all I want you to be doing is listening. You can also read along with me. Definitely look at the pictures because the artwork is so cool in this. But also be thinking about how you think the characters feel, how everyone in the book feels, and then also your own thoughts and your own feelings as you hear me read this. All right, here's the first page. CJ pushed through the church doors, skipped down the steps. The air smelled like freedom, but it also smelled like rain, which freckled CJ's shirt and dripped down his nose. So it looks like it's raining outside. He ducked under his Nana's umbrella, saying, "How come we gotta wait for the bus and all of this wet?" Trees get thirsty too, his Nana told him. Don't you see that big one drinking through a straw? CJ looked for a long time, but he didn't see a straw. From the bus stop, he watched the water pool on the flower petals, which means that the water, so if you see the flowers right up here, when it means a pool on something, it means that the water's kind of like building up into like a little divot on the flower. Watched rain patter against the windshield of a nearby car. His friend Colby climbed in and gave CJ a wave and drove off with his dad. Nana, how come we don't got a car? Boy, what do we need a car for? We got a bus that breathes fire and told old Mr. Dennis, who always has a trick for you. The bus creaked to a stop in front of them. It sighed and sagged and the door swung open. So something that I'm already thinking during this book is that CJ has a couple things that he's brought up to his grandma. So asking his Nana why they have to wait in the rain, why they don't have a car, why is it raining so much? And the grandma has some really cool, unique things to say back. And so, for example, right here, when CJ asked why don't they have a car, his Nana said, what do we need a car for? We have a bus that breathes fire. So I don't know if the bus is actually breathing fire. I don't think that's what's happening. But that's kind of a positive thing. It's sounding like we have a powerful bus. We have a mighty bus to take us, and things are okay. What's that I see? Mr. Dennis asked. He pulled a coin from behind CJ's ear and placed it in his palm. Nana laughed her deep laugh and pushed CJ along. They sat up front. The man across the way was tuning a guitar. An old woman with curlers had butterflies in a jar. Nana gave everyone a great big smile and said, "Good afternoon," and made sure CJ did the same. So she made sure that CJ also said good afternoon to the people on the bus. So there's a person with the guitar, the lady with the butterflies. This must have been the trick that the bus driver did. He pulled the coin from behind his ear like a magic trick. The bus lurched forward and stopped. So lurched kind of means to move a little bit, stop. Move a little bit, stop. Lurched forward and stopped. Nana hummed as she knit. How come we always gotta go here after church, CJ said. Miguel and Colby never have to go nowhere. I feel sorry for those boys, she told them. They'll never get a chance to meet Bobo or the sunglasses man. And I hear Trixie's got herself a brand new hat. But CJ stared out the window, feeling sorry for himself. He watched cars zip by on either side, and he even watched a group of boys hop curbs on bikes. Wow, that sounds really fun. The other kids were all playing on their bikes, but CJ was on the bus with his Nana. A man climbed aboard with a spotted dog. CJ gave up his seat. How come that man can't see? Boy, what do you know about seeing? Nana told him. Some people watch the world with their ears. That's a fact. Their noses, too, the man said, sniffing the air. That's a mighty fine perfume you're wearing today, ma'am. Nana squeezed the man's hand and laughed her deep laugh. Two older boys got on next. CJ watched as they moved on and stood in the back. Sure wish I had one of those, he said. Nana sat down for knitting. What for? You've got the real life thing sitting right across from you. Why don't you ask the man if he'll play us a song? And so it looks like CJ was talking about their headphones they were wearing, but Grandma mentioned how there was someone on the bus who had a guitar. But CJ didn't have to. The guitar was already playing, plucking strings, and beginning to sing. Ah, to feel the magic of music, the blind man whispered. I like to close my eyes. Nana closed hers too. So did CJ and the spotted dog. And in the darkness, the rhythm lifted CJ out of the bus, out of the busy city. He saw a sunset of colors swirling over the chasing waves, saw a family of hawks slicing through the sky, saw the old woman's butterflies dancing free in the light of the moon. CJ's chest grew full and he was lost in the sound, and the sound gave him the feeling of magic. So right now you can imagine CJ's kind of humming along, listening to the music, has his eyes closed, and he's imagining all of these beautiful things. He's imagining he's outside the bus, outside the city, and he's seeing a sunset, and he's seeing butterflies and birds. The song ended, and CJ opened his eyes. Everyone on the bus clapped, even the boys in the back. Nana glanced at the coin in CJ's palm, and CJ dropped it in the man's hat. And so he dropped it as kind of like a tip for playing the pretty song. "Last stop on Market Street," Mr. Dennis called. CJ looked around as he stepped off the bus. Crumbling sidewalks and broken down doors, graffiti tagged windows and boarded up stores. He reached for Nana's hand. "How come it's always so dirty over here?" She smiled and pointed at the sky. "Sometimes when you're surrounded by dirt, CJ, you're a better witness for what's beautiful." CJ saw the perfect rainbow arching over their soup kitchen. He wondered how his Nana always found beautiful where he never even thought to look. So CJ was just saying that he thought that it was dirty over there and that he saw graffiti and things like that. But his grandma said that you can find beautiful things. And so CJ didn't even think to find beautiful things over there, but grandma did. He looked all around them again at the bus rounding the corner out of sight. The broken up street lamps still lit up bright, and the stray cat shadows moving across the sky. When he spotted their familiar faces in the window, he said, "I'm glad we came." I like these pictures. Different people on the dog. He thought his Nana might laugh her deep laugh, but she didn't. She patted him on the head and said, "Me too, CJ. Now, come on." So this is a cool image. So in this, you can see Nana and CJ right here serving people food. And so what this is it's a soup kitchen. So what a soup kitchen is it's a really cool place that has free food for people who maybe don't have money or don't have the resources to have food. And so all these people are enjoying a meal together. And it looks like CJ and Nana are volunteering and helping to serve the people. So let's go ahead and look at a little bit of a summary of the story. So this is kind of like your main idea, but I just wanted to go through and talk about a couple key points that I saw while I was reading. So for the first one, Nana and CJ got on the bus to travel through the city. So as you remember, that was in the first couple of pages, and CJ and Nana got out of church and they went down the steps and they got on the bus. And CJ was asking why they didn't have a car and why they had to take the bus, questions like that. And CJ really wanted to go out and play with his friends, and he didn't really understand why he couldn't go play. And so if you remember the part where he was looking out the window and the boys were all playing on their bikes and hopping on curbs with their bikes, and he was talking about how his friends didn't have to go somewhere after church. And then next, Nana encouraged CJ to talk and interact with the people on the bus with them. And so what they were doing is that every time someone new came on the bus, Nana said good afternoon to them, and she was talking to the man that was blind and asking him about the music, and they were listening to the music together. And also they were just talking to people and interacting with people. And then in the very last part, we saw that Nana and CJ helped serve food to people at a food bank. So they were like volunteering their time after. So I'm going to go through and tell you a couple things that I felt after I was reading the text. So remember when I told you to think about your thoughts or how you felt during the reading? So I'm going to tell you a couple of mine. So for the very first one, over by the rainbow, is that Nana and CJ saw beautiful things in their community. And so if you remember, Nana was thinking about the beautiful things around, and she was talking about how the rain was drinking through a straw in the tree, and she was talking about the branches, and she noticed that the flowers were drinking the water too, and that the water was hydrating all of the plants. And then in the end, Nana also saw that beautiful rainbow that came up, and CJ mentioned how he didn't even think to look for a rainbow. And then for the next one, Nana and CJ made new friends on the bus. So I think maybe they wouldn't have met those people if they weren't on the bus. And so Nana and CJ were sitting there and they were talking to people, and CJ and Nana learned how the blind man was able to listen to the music and he was able to see with his ears, is what they said. And maybe they wouldn't have known that information if they hadn't been sitting with him. And so that's kind of like what I put for my next point, was that I wonder if they would have known how that guy felt if they hadn't have talked to him. And CJ was able to pet his dog, and they were also listening to the man who was playing the guitar. And I don't think they would have heard all of that and learned all of that if they weren't on the bus. And then for the last one, I wrote that Nana and CJ spent their free time helping others. I feel like I want to help someone too. So when I saw the part about after they went to church, instead of just going home and starting their day or having some free time, instead they wanted to go volunteer and they wanted to help serve other people in their community. And so after I read that, I was feeling like I want to go help somebody. Like, I've just been watching TV all day. Like, I want to go out. I want to go help someone. Wouldn't that be cool? And so those were all of my feelings after I read the text. So I'm curious if you had any different feelings or other thoughts. Those were what I was thinking. So now let's look at our main idea and our theme chart again. So first we're going to talk about the main idea that we looked at. So for the main idea, I saw that, and so just for another review, main idea is where we literally talk about what happened in the story. So it's as if you haven't read the story yet and I'm giving you a summary of it, telling you the important parts. So I saw that Nana and CJ spent their free time volunteering in their community. So that was obviously a really big main idea with the book, is that the whole reason why they went out that day and got on the bus after church is that they wanted to go volunteer and help their community. And the next thing is that Nana and CJ saw the beautiful things in their community after spending the day driving in the bus. And so when they saw these beautiful things, the beautiful things were the music and the butterflies that the lady was holding, and they saw the rainbow and they saw the rain and everything. And so they saw all of those because they were in the bus and because they were interacting with other people in their community. So I'm going to kind of just explain to you how I figured out this theme. So let me read it first. So the theme that I wrote was that helping out in your community allows you to see the beautiful things in life. So the way that I came up with that theme is that I was thinking about how they were spending their time in their community and spending their free time and helping their community. But then also all of the details in the book were all talking about beauty and talking about how Nana said that you had to stop and you had to look for those beautiful things. And sometimes you didn't think that you would actually look there, but you have to find those. And the way that they found those beautiful things is by helping out in their community. And so I thought this theme was really universal because anyone can go help in their community and they can see beautiful things in life. And when they saw people smiling and people laughing and listening to music together, I think that's something that's really beautiful. And I think that is such a cool way to interact with other people. And then also seeing the nature. I really love nature. I really love rain and the trees and the flowers and everything. And they wouldn't have seen that if they weren't helping out in their community. So that's how I came up with that theme. So you could also argue something about, another big part of this book was about family and was about CJ spending time with his Nana. So you could even write a theme about spending time with your family helps you see beautiful things. Another one that was talked about a little bit was, and this is one of our common themes we talked about, was that money can't buy happiness. And so in the book, CJ was talking about how they don't have their own car, that they have to take the bus, that, things like that. But in this book, money for a car or having those material things wasn't the thing that brought them happiness. What brought them happiness was talking to people in their community and serving others and volunteering. So that was how I came up with my theme. And so like I said, there can be a couple different themes. There can be many different themes you find from a book, but I found this one and I was able to find parts in the text that supported it. So that's how I came up with my theme, and there's my main idea. So that's all we're going to be doing today for theme and the introduction to theme. Thank you so much for practicing this with me today. And I can't wait to talk to you more about theme this week. So great job today, and have a good rest of your week. I'll see you next time.